What is going on, everybody? Boilon here and back for another Lord of the Rings home video. Today we're going to be starting to talk about starting. I don't know. It's supposed to start today, but we're going to be talking about Chapter 1 of Mines of Moria. We're going to be actually going through, and maybe you've already done this yourself, but we're going to be going through the enemies. We're going to be talking about exactly what you're going to need to do to score some points today. Wow, I say today, but I guess it depends on when your guild's going to launch this raid. It could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday, but hopefully for some people it's sooner rather than later. We're going to go through the kits of all 5 of the characters, and I'm going to recommend some characters outside of your arena team, which, depends on what that is for you, that might actually be good in this chapter, especially as we start to build up our roster a little bit more and build it out. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, first things first, how do you score in this chapter? Now, the first thing that's really important, I think, is deciding what difficulty that you're going to run. Okay? And for the most of us, it's going to be either difficulty 1, difficulty 2, or for some of the whales and krakens, it might be difficulty 3. I might be able to do this, maybe, on my top team, on my arena team. They're about 28k, 29k, maybe. I might be able to score decently on this. And as you can see, the sort of maximum amount of points that you're going to be able to get on one attempt. There's going to be a total of 5 attempts available, and that's going to be up to 5 different teams. Now, for most of us, we're not going to be fielding that many teams. I think I might have 3, maybe, that are usable. And I think I only have, maybe, like I said, my top arena team is going to be maybe difficulty 3, otherwise it's difficulty 2. One other maybe difficulty 2 team, it says recommended power 16,000. I think I have another team of maybe about that, probably. And then, of course, difficulty 1, which is recommended power of 5,500. And you get up to 100,000 points on D1, 300,000 on D2, and up to 900,000 again on D3. And the characters actually upgrade as you go up through the tiers. So they actually do, they're more stronger. And so for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be taking a look at difficulty 2 and their kits. There are 6 enemies total. Sorry, not the 5 that I said earlier on before the intro. And we're going to be taking a look at each one of these characters and why they're important and how they're going to interact for this battle. So we're going to get started with Moria SKULLCRUSHER. And so he's basically the damage character on the team. There's going to be obviously the real importance of the bomber, which is one of the biggest things in this chapter. We're going to go through this, though, but we're going to go through the characters one by one. So they do have 4 abilities, just like most of our characters. They have like a basic, 2 specials, and a passive. And so he just does damage, gains might for 1 turn. Now, on the various difficulties going up, it scales. So the skill levels are going up, so they're going to hurt a little bit more. Attack all enemies is an AoE for 170 and inflicts slow for 1 turn. Now, I hate slow. Slows really suck. In a turn-based game, slow and speed up, which doesn't happen very often, is some of the best in the game. And then special 2, Moria's Mallet, attack all enemies. I hope that he does this before he does a Brain Scrambler, honestly, because that's not going to be good. And his passive, They're Over Here. When this character is summoned, gain 1 stack of They're Over Here, plus all stacks of They're Over Here on the previous orc in this slot. So I think this is basically a gauntlet thing, and that when you kill him, he's just going to kind of reappear again. So I think it's just going to be like holding out and killing as many as you can, until you're dead, I guess. And gain 10% turn meter for each stack. So he could spawn with, additional turn meter at the start. When this unit uses an ability, gain a stack of They're Over Here. If this character is killed by damage from a Moria bomber, lose a stack of that, though. So what does that do? It grants them 10% damage and 10% resistance per stack, and then obviously it gives the turn meter when they're summoned additionally afterwards. So this is a gauntlet behavior that essentially the longer this goes on, typically that they're going to gain more stacks of this, but you're going to be able to at least lower it if the bomber does end up killing them. So that's kind of important there too. Number 2, we have the Moria Mangler. He's another damage type character. So again, does a basic attack there for damage and gains haste for 2 turns. And then he attacks for 2 times, so a lot in bleed. And then more attack at the target for enemy 2 times for damage. So what's weird though is that the special 1 seems to be harder, in both instances, worse. Like a worse attack than the second one. When I mean worse, I mean like it's stronger, so I don't want that to happen. So it's weird that it's in that order. And again, this is the same passive as the other characters, so that's not that important there. They're basically the damage characters. Now we have the Moria SHADOWSEER. He is a little bit of a support character. And what's really interesting is his war cry, more than the basic. It does just cleanse 1 being from 1 random squad member. It's not a big deal. War cry. Summon up to 5 Moria orc allies. Now, how many, how much hit points the stats on these characters, that's what I'm wondering. Because if it's like, say, the Rohan summon from Eomer, rather, it's not going to be that hard if you have AoE on your team to be able to clear this out. If they're, on par with some of these characters, then yeah, it might be a bit of trouble. So we'll see. Regenerative Smog, heal all squad members for 400 plus 14% of this character's max health. Now, we don't know what the stats, like how much health these characters have, so this could be quite bad. It could be a lot of healing, but it also could not be if their health is not super high. Grant 3 random squad members 1 stamina. So I don't know in what order that they're going to be using these skills. That's the only thing that we don't know. I hope that it's not the war cry first, and maybe if you kill them fast enough that you can avoid some of these skills. And then once again, they have they're over here. They all have that, with the exception of the bomber when we'll get to them. The Firestarter. Now attack the target enemy for 140% damage and grant 1 stamina. Fine. It's just the special. That's the big deal. So Eagle Eye, which is a guaranteed crit. Keep in mind, and Advantage, Advantage is the guaranteed crit. Eagle Eye cannot be missed or blocked. Okay, and Advantage to all squad members. So that kind of sucks. Everyone's getting a guaranteed crit, especially for the previous characters who are very high damage and have AoE attacks. This is not a good thing. There's usually about 1 not good thing on each character. And once again, the burning does suck on this second ability here, but I feel like this flare burst is way worse. And once again, same passive. We have the Moria Bomber. Now, this is the most important thing here. He's the unique one for these battles. And we really need to take a look at his Don't Rush Me. And how this interacts with his bomb. Blast It. So this is bad. You don't want him to chuck it at your team. It's probably going to wipe you. It does 640% damage. And if for whatever reason the Eagle Eye and the Advantage is stacked on him from the other characters, then that means serious business. It means it's critting and you're probably dead. For each stack of Don't Rush Me on this unit, the attack has a 10% chance to fail and attacks the ally squad instead, which is really good, which is going to blow up the entire field with the exact same amount of damage. Consume all stacks of Don't Rush Me and disable bombs away. Now, it's my understanding that it does take him 2 turns to do this. That he basically has to ready it, and then he has to chuck it. So it's this thing. He does the handle with care, gain 1 stack of Don't Rush Me. This character's ability Blast is now available. So it's going to take him 2 turns to be able to do this. So what does Don't Rush Me do? It reduces his actual speed by, what did that say? It's actually in the way. Is it 50%? 5%? 50%? I think it's 50%. But his damn arm's in the way. So maybe can I click it down here? No, it actually takes to the same spot. That's bizarre. I think it's 50%. So he gets a lot slower once he starts readying this, or once he does not stack. Once he activates it, which is with handle with care. Now, for each stack of Don't Rush Me, though, he has a 10% chance to fail. So how does he get that? And that actually comes down to his passive here, one of his passives, which is when this character has a stack of Don't Rush Me and is attacked, gain 1 stack of Don't Rush Me. And so he has a 10% chance to fail. So a base 10% chance to fail once he readies it up. And then the more times you attack him after he uses Handle with Care, he gets another 10%. So basically everybody has to turn to attack him after he uses this ability. And what that means is that the faster your character is, the more likely you're going to hit him more times. You need to hit him approximately 9 times in order for him to guarantee to drop the bomb on his side of the field. Now, you could still say hit him 4 or 5 times and it'd be like 50, 60% chance that he drops the bomb. And then you're playing a dice roll game there. But I mean, yeah, obviously the more times you hit him, the more likely this is to happen, which is really interesting because not only do they lose more of the stacks of that passive there over here if they end up killing their side of the field, but if you have faster characters, say hobbits, we're going to get into that because some characters are a lot faster than others and some are a lot slower than others. So you're going to want a mixture. You're not going to want an entire slow team. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in as many attacks onto the Moria Bomber to improve the amount of stacks of Don't Rush Me that he has, which is going to be really important for him dropping the bomb. Now, the final character that they have is the Moria War Drummer. He gives turn meter to a random ally on his basic. He also summons more Moria Orc allies, just like that other healer guy does. So I think there's a cap to how many characters there can be on the field, though. So I don't think that the war call can happen from both characters, because I would imagine that even for the enemy side, I think there is a cap, but maybe there isn't. I guess we'll find out when this goes live. Like, can you actually have 15 characters on the field on the enemy side? I don't think you can. I think there is a limit to 10 or less, even. I'm not even sure. I forget. 10? No, that's Marvel Strike Force. I don't know how many it is here, but we'll find out, I guess. And maybe if someone else can correct me, maybe what Star Wars Galaxy Heroes might do. So his other special, Bone Mallets, attacks the target for 260% damage and reduces the enemy turn meter by 30%. That's a lot, especially when we need to, hit the bomber a lot more frequently. And this is why I want to talk about some of the faster characters, but also, unfortunately, we don't actually know, what their stats are going to be. I don't think there's anything here that tells us, I don't think we can click on it. We might be able to see it in-game when we go live, though, when it actually happens. But until then, we have to kind of just guess things. Now, I'm really looking forward to this because it seems like, to me, that you can repeat your attacks as many times as you want until you're satisfied with that one attempt, and then you get to bank it. So there's a lot of like RNGing if you want to go and sit there and play it for like an hour and to get your perfect run. It seems like you might be able to do that. If you want to bank on the RNG of the bomb dropping, if you can't get in that many hits on him to make it guaranteed, for example. But I want to talk about some of the characters that people are probably going to be using and some of the characters that you might want to consider in the near future. And so we're going to start off, obviously, because almost everyone's using them in Arena, is the elves. And so thankfully that the elves actually they're pretty fast. And so characters like Lomian, I know I've been ragging on Lomian because I think he's terrible still, but he is really fast. He's got a speed of 100, sorry, I closed that early, speed of 174. He is also part of that Rivendell team. Now, in the perfect world, you're probably going to be using a Rivendell team in full. This makes the most sense to me, which includes these four across the top and Lomian, because realistically, Legolas is going to be on a team of the Fellowship, which is going to be filled out later on, of course, with Gimli, with Gandalf, and I believe that there are going to be filled out to a team of 5. So, that Legolas being on the elf team for Rivendell is not really long-term. So I think that there may be a room to upgrading Lomian, especially for the purposes of Chapter 1. And he is really fast. A lot of the elves are honestly pretty fast, so they should work pretty well. Elro here has 175. With the exception of Elrond, I think he's a little bit slower, and Eladin even 153 for an elf is still pretty fast. A lot of these characters are fast, and so they're going to get multiple attacks in. Now, what has been confirmed, though, is that multi-hit attacks will only add 1 stack of that buff. So Elro here's multi-hit attack is only going to give 1 stack of that buff. So basically they just need to keep taking more turns and hitting the bomber to activate that. The good thing is that I don't think any of the Moria orcs are tanks that cause taunt or provoke. So that may or may not get in the way, but you're still going to have to deal with, of course, the amount of orcs that are going to be coming at you, and hopefully that you can blow them up with the bomber. Other characters that I kind of want to note that are really, really fast, that some people may have actually invested in, is the hobbits. Now, I haven't, and I have a few other things to say probably outside of this, but anyone who has been building Return to Rivendell might actually see some good value here. Now, unfortunately, they are quite squishy of characters, But if you bought the Hobbit packs and things like that, and you do have high star ranks for them, this could be quite valuable. They are incredibly fast. They are some of the fastest characters in the game, alongside goblins, which most people don't have, built up because they're quite late in the game. But 172 for Pippin, and pretty much all of the hobbits have that kind of speed. 177 for Frodo. Sam might be a little slower because he's a tank. He's at 160. I think that he is designed, I guess he's a quasi-tank. And I actually don't have Mary unlocked, so I can't tell you. But yeah, that Return to Rivendell team could be pretty good as well for this. I'm not personally building them, though, but any other characters that are fast. I was actually wondering about the Haradrim as well. How fast are they? Some of them aren't bad. 154? 130. Yeah, okay, they're not that fast. And I think Bubate's slower, isn't he? 129. Yeah, okay, not super fast. So the Haradrim's not going to do it. But characters like Gaz Ironhide, any of the trolls who are pretty slow, that's going to be a little bit of an issue as well because you're not going to get as many swings in. The dwarfs are kind of slow. And so I think that characters that are faster are going to have a lot of value. Eowyn is a very fast character, so the Rohan team actually might be okay. Eomer's kind of slow, though. I think Eothane's kind of slow, too. I don't remember fully, but yeah, Eowyn's probably the fastest one on the field there. Strider might be okay, but yeah, it's going to definitely benefit characters that are faster. And just to round things off, I forgot to mention in the beginning, actually, I should have really said that you do gain 5 points for every percentage of health lost by an enemy orc that you do to them, and 500 points for every defeated enemy orc. So there is going to, and gain 2,500 points for every enemy orc defeated by an enemy Moria bomber. Now, what I'm hoping is that when they do their summon ability, and then you kill them all off with the Moria bomber, that it also counts the summoned orcs too for the 2,500. That would be really great. And whenever 2 or more enemy orcs are defeated in a single turn, gain 2,500 points for every orc defeated this way. So I think this is going to multiply, honestly. You're going to get 2,500 points for multiple orcs killed at once, and you're going to get 2,500 if they killed by a Moria bomber. So if the Moria bomber kills everybody on their side and they were low hit points enough to die, that you're going to see a significant amount of points coming your way. And that's just a difficulty, or that's at all difficulties, honestly. And so what this tells me is that basically, you're going to cap out at 100,000 for difficulty 1, but, I guess we'll be told about that. And the expectation, I suppose, is that you're not going to be able to last as long in the gauntlet portion when they keep coming at you, that eventually you're going to die and you won't want to go past 100,000 points. But for difficulty 2 and difficulty 3, you'll have to last longer because it does seem that the points aren't scaling per difficulty. It's the same amount of points that you get from the scoring rule per difficulty, which is strange, which basically means that you need to kill more orcs on the higher difficulty to max that out. I guess we'll find out, though. And again, I just wanted to put this out this morning so that people would have a chance to look at this. And if they haven't thought about it already, if they, as we get ready for the Mines of Moria, maybe you've already, by the time you watch this, maybe you've already actually had a go at it. I'm hoping to get my next video out will be the Mines of Moria and raid tests for that, and kind of give an idea of my first impressions, and especially with my main team, and show you guys what's going on there. So that's going to be the end of my video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. And I'll see y'all later, and good luck on the Mines of Moria, Chapter 1. Boilon, signing out.